Harlan here. Welcome back to my Country Craft Corner, and I'm back in my house today. I'm fixing to start working on my dining room table later today. Chris and I are getting ready to go out to our little lunch date that we do every Friday. So we're gonna go get our soup and salad from a Longhorn steakhouse that we have here in town. And we both love their shrimp and lobster chowder and a salad. And that's what we have for every Friday for lunch. That's what we do. So, but when I get back, I'm going to start deconstructing this table and reconstructing my lantern centerpiece and putting the new tablecloth and table runner and everything on the table. So come on along with me while I do a little bit of creating today. Not so much driving, but more creating today. I'll see y'all back here in just a little while. Bye-bye. As you can see, I've cleaned off the table and moved the lantern out into the kitchen onto the island, and I'm fixing to redo the centerpiece. I'm going to deconstruct that one and reconstruct it to look like spring. If you've noticed, I'm not going to make this look Eastery so much as just spring. That way I can leave it up. When I tweak the other stuff, I can just leave this alone, and this can go on into June, maybe, you know, something like that, and then maybe do a little something more bold for, you know, in a patriotic, maybe a little something or another in the summertime. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what hits me. I did want to mention about these table pads though to you guys. For those who have not seen my house tours, might not have heard about these table pads that I have on this table and on my kitchen table. This table is ancient. This table is probably 30, oh my goodness, 1-2 years old, something like that. We got it very early in our marriage, and I want to try to keep it nice. And this table has all of the leaves that can go in it right now. And this room, let me put that over. This room is a pretty big room, and I don't know the size of it, but it's big, and it was enough to accommodate this entire table with both leaves. We know we are not going to move back out of here anytime ever unless they carry us out. And if we do move out of here, we would most likely, you know, give this furniture to one of our kids or sell it or whatever. And so when we went to buy the table pad for this, because I always keep a tablecloth on this table, and we wanted something to protect it, I went ahead and ordered one that covers both leaves. Now the place I order from, which is affordabletablepads.com, I'll put a link in the description, you can have them split it to accommodate the leaves. So in other words, if I wanted to take a leaf out of here, which I won't ever in here, but if I, like for instance, my kitchen table, I have the table pad to cover just the table alone if it's closed up without any leaves, and I also have 2 leaves or 3 leaves that go along with that table, and I can insert the leaves when necessary when I pull the table out. This table pad, we didn't do that too. We just made one big table pad. So I did want to mention this to you though, because these are wonderful, wonderful table pads, and you can put anything on these. I in fact have ironed on top of these before, hot things, cold things, heavy things. It's going to protect your table. So anyway, just want to mention that. Alrighty, here I am in my laundry room. Turn on the light, maybe that would help, huh? And I am getting ready to iron 2 table runners and the tablecloth that I have for that room. One table runner will go on the sideboard. I don't have anything to go on that sideboard or to go in with the flowers, so it might just have to stay like that. Again, I really am not spending any more money now. So what I'm going to get these things ironed here, and then we'll go back over into the dining room and get these things placed on the sideboard and the table. And then I will be back to put that centerpiece together. Be right back. Taking you through every step this time, huh? What I normally do when I go to put a tablecloth on the table, this is not perfectly ironed, by the way. Sometimes I will take the iron out there since I have the table pad and iron on top of it. But I will fold it in half, putting right sides together. And then Chris is going to pick up the phone or the camera and follow us out to the dining room table, and I'll show you how I put the tablecloth on. This may seem really simple, and excuse me if nobody else if everybody else does it this way and I'm really saying something really silly here, but this is something I've always done and I thought was a pretty good hint as to how to get your tablecloth on your table evenly. So if you wouldn't mind grabbing the camera, Chris, and we'll go. Here we go. Chris is a little shy, can you tell? He's a very quiet kind of guy. Okay, this is how I do it. And this table, it's really easy to find the middle because of the table pad here. So right there's the middle of the table. It should be centered underneath my dirty light there. And I just put the folded part right at the center point, like that. Again, this may seem like a simple concept to some, but to me, when I figured it out years ago, I was like really happy with myself that I had done that. So, only thing is to try to make sure that it's, you know, you have about the same drop on each side. And then I just unfold it, holding on to it. And that will get your tablecloth on pretty much perfectly every time. There we go. All right, here's my dining room centerpiece. I'm getting ready to deconstruct it, and then I will reconstruct it. I almost hate to deconstruct this one. This turned out so pretty, but hopefully the next one will be just as pretty. So I'm gonna speed up here and show you how I go through the whole process. Okie dokie, I have the lantern decor that I just showed you all broken down and put away and organized into a basket. And now I'm ready to start on making the new centerpiece for in there. And the first thing I want to do is to make a bow for a bow topper for the top of the lantern. So I had to go digging into my craft supplies because I did not buy new ribbon this year. So I went out into my garage and I found this. It's only 1.5 inches wide ribbon. This would be a really good ribbon for those of you who might suffer with arthritis to begin with. Only thing is, try to find some with that is double-sided. I'm going to have to be twisting this, as you'll see, so that can get to be a little painful. So anyway, as always, I am going to go ahead and do a quick bow tutorial here, or at least start it out for you guys so you can see how to start one. You take the end of the ribbon and you fold it towards yourself, and you kind of need to try to picture how big you want your first loop to be. And then you come down here and you pull up the next side and overlap these two pieces quite a bit so that when you manipulate the bow when you're finished, it won't pull apart. And then you pinch it together And then to make your center loop, you're going to need to twist to bring the right side up. And then you turn it kind of under itself, catch it with your first finger and your thumb, and smoosh it together underneath there, and hang on for dear life. I am going to make a tiered bow, just like I always do for my bow toppers and most of my wreaths. So you come down and you make your next loop. Make it about a ½ an inch longer, not too much longer in this vein than the loop before, and then you're gonna need to twist and come back out this side. It's gonna go the way you want it to go. It's gonna be fed the way you want it to be fed, so don't worry about that. Again, about a ½ an inch longer. I will probably do, since this is not very big ribbon, probably do at least a 4 loop bow for this with 3 tails. So here's my third loop, 4 loop meaning 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side. And to make your tails, you want it a little bit longer, of course, and you want them to twist it first. You want them to start out longer than they'll probably end up, but twist it and then grab the back of it and twist it under itself and accordion it together just like you did before, and hang on, and that will give you 1, 2, 3 tails. Go ahead and trim that off of there and take your pipe cleaner. You're going to feed your pipe cleaner over your thumb and under the center loop. Go to about the halfway point. I didn't have a green one, so I'm using gray. Snug it up underneath your thumb there, and then twist it around and twist it together. And that gives you a pretty little bow. Two more things I'm going to do. First thing is I'm going to be using green and white pip berries for one of the accent pieces that will go around the lantern. So I would like to pull some of those up and into the bow, and on top, that will go on top of the lantern onto this. It's going to tie around this piece right here. So I kind of find the center. Some of them will go down and some of them will go up, and then I snug it right down into the pipe cleaner. And then when I get it on the lantern, I will manipulate these in and around the bow. And up and around the bow. So the next thing I want to do is to, doesn't look like much now, but it will, I promise. Take another piece of ribbon. Need some way to tie this onto the lantern. So just get one more piece of ribbon. Put it right, find the center, although you're going to cut it anyway, but find the center. And then pinch together and tie it in to the, into the pipe cleaner too. And I'm going to trim these down just a bit. And there we go. And then I'll show you how I manipulate that once I get it, the rest of the lantern done, and I go to tie this on, and I'll show you what I do. Trust me, it'll look good when it's done. All right. And for those of you who might not have ever seen me make a lantern centerpiece, I have 3 staple, what I call staple pieces that I use in every lantern centerpiece that I make for my dining room and living room tables. I found these lanterns in, if you all saw my country store haul the other day, or that little tour around the country store, that's where I got this lantern. They do not have a website, nor can I find this lantern online anywhere. I'm so sorry. But if you can find a nice big lantern like this, you won't have to buy a bunch of lanterns. If you have one like this, you can redecorate it for each season. And then I purchased a tray from Hobby Lobby, and it's nice and big and heavy. And I make my arrangements around the lamp, set the lantern in the tray and make my arrangements around the lantern that way. That way I can pick up the centerpiece and move it a little easier than I could if I didn't have the tray. I also always put a battery operated candle, and I normally use these Luminera candles, and yes, they are pricey, but sometimes I do bite the bullet and get a little something nicer that is going to last a little longer. You can set these on a timer, and once you set it on or you can have it on all the time. You can either have it on all the time or you can set it on a timer. And I'll go ahead and turn it on the timer. So that way it is, right now it is 2:35, and this will come on at 2:35. I'll change it later to come on in the evening hours. And it'll stay on for 5 hours, so you can see, I don't know whether you can see the flame flickering. There you go. So before I start doing the arrangement around the lantern, I always like to do a little something inside the lantern. And you can make this as ornate as you want to. I choose not to go too ornate right at this time of year. I might do a little bit more at Christmas. But I have a little bit more of a pipberry garland, green and cream pipberry garland. I'm going to go ahead and get that around the candle, and then I put the candle and the garland in at the same time. And manipulate it all in there. And try to center your candle. And make sure that it's not sitting on any of the pipberries. I've done that before, and then I finish the whole lantern and it's lopsided sitting in there, and I have to unfurl it to get to the candle. So there we go. And you know, flip it and make it look pretty in there. And close the lantern up, and that part is done. These are not hard to make, you guys. Anybody could do these. And if you have pretty staple pieces, oh my goodness, it makes such a statement in a room, you know? So let's bring the tray over here for a second. And I just wanted to give you a little trick too that I do. I normally try to put, this is just nothing but a placemat, a cream colored quilted placemat. And I do put that down, something like this down in these lanterns, because especially when I'm using something in the corners, and I'm going to be using these balls in the corners, and I don't want them, once I get all the material, all the other accent pieces in there, they'll stay there. But I don't, a lot of the times I use glass. These are not glass, but I don't want them to roll and hit into things, and if you pick it up and carry it, oh my goodness, you know. So I do try to protect the mirror and protect the accent pieces that I'm putting in there. So I place that first. That's the first thing that goes down. And then I grab the lantern, and then that gets centered. And first thing to go down will be, as I said, back this up, there we go, a cream and green. Green is my accent color in the living room and dining room. Again, for those of you who haven't seen my home tours, I'll put a link to that playlist at the end. If you guys want to take a tour around my house, feel free. This is the first thing, and I just wrap the pipberries around the lantern. And I take a little time to, you know, fill everything in and make it look pretty. There we go. Next thing, I'm gonna go ahead and anchor the corners with these balls. I always like to anchor the corners. I don't know why. It's just something I started doing. So now I make a habit out of it. It just adds interest into the whole centerpiece. So there we go. And next, I have this kind of Easter eggy looking pipberry garland from last year. I have two pieces of it. So I'm going to put one piece kind of in the front and tuck it down in there. And then it almost looks like it's one big piece. But you all and I are the only ones that know that it's really not. And there's going to be a flower right there, and there, and there, and there. So nobody's going to be able to tell. But they'll be able to see the pretty eggs kind of peeking out. Okay, I have a few more elements to put in here. Now, first of all, I'm going to put some lamb's ears in. I'm going to cut them apart first. And put the smaller sections kind of on the side here. You can see what I'm doing on that side very well. And one kind of laid in the front, kind of tilted up like that. And the same thing for the back. And next I have these pretty pink fern looking whateverness things. And I'm just going to start placing these around. I'm going to speed up here, because this could take me just a smidge of time here. So I'm going to speed up, and I'll be back when I get these all placed. And the last things to go on the bottom are these really pretty, they look like lilies. They have a little bit of green in them too. One right in the front. And one on either side. And one in the back. And there we go. And that's pretty much the bottom portion of the centerpiece. I think I like it. Bright and airy and pretty. Let me go ahead and get the top portion on now. What I do is tie it on. Tie it on doing a square knot. Is you take your left over right and your right over left, and you just make a knot. Right like that. I usually just cut at an angle. Here we go. And let me turn it around and tweak this bow. And I'm going to turn off the camera. Well, I might speed up while I do this, because this is probably going to be a little bit boring for you guys. All right, let me cut these tails up, just the two sides, just up at an angle. And then I take the center one and make it just a little bit longer, fold it lengthwise in half, go to the edge, and cut a deep V. That makes a chevron for you. And that's about it. I'll probably continue to tweak it a little bit, but that's the basic centerpiece. There we go. Happy spring. I'm going to go get it put into place, and I'll be back with a couple of final. Hang on 1 second. I forgot that I wanted to do one more thing. I wanted to add lights to it. So I just got these lights from Walmart, and these are used at Christmas time, and they are just a battery operated light. And I knew I was going to use these, so I left the batteries in. Let's see if they still work. And you can either put it on timer fading, timer flashing, or timer steady on. And I always put it to timer steady on. And again, these work kind of the same way. Nope, they need more new batteries. Hang on, let me get new batteries. And turn off by themselves. And this adds just a little something pretty in the evenings, you know? Just a little something. So let me snug this battery pack down in the side so that I can get to it pretty easily, but it's hidden. And then I just simply, whoops, I simply take apart my arrangement. I just wrap them around the centerpiece. And this one is only going to go around about once, and that's fine. It just adds just a little something. Doesn't have to be, you know, in your face, but it does add a little, just a little something special. I like a little something special every now and again, you know, just to add just a touch of prettiness. All right, now I'm going to go take it out and put it on my dining room table, take a couple still pictures, and show you just the final look of the tablecloth and the table runner. And I'll be right back in just a second. Okie dokie, here we go. Here's the final look on the dining room table. It is obvious I need to do a little bit more ironing to this poor tablecloth, but I'll tell you, I'll bring the iron right out here and do it right on top. I'm very happy with how this turned out. You can see the pinks pull in the pinks and the greens pull in the greens. And the little lights, even in the daytime here, are shining through. And go all the way around. That's it. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I'm really glad, really glad that I got that table runner. I know I would not be happy with this table, just the tablecloth. That table runner, oh my goodness. I got lucky with that one. All right, you guys. And here's the sideboard. Oh, by the way, I'm not crazy with how this worked out, to be honest, because here's my little, I wish it was a little longer so that the egg wreath kind of thing was hanging all the way down, but that's okay. Just for a month or so, it'll be fine. And my little lights will come on in the evening with this. But I didn't do anything with this one. I left it alone, and I think it looks fine the way it is. So there's the, excuse my bins. They still need to go downstairs. So that is going to do it with all of my decorating, and I will, the next thing I'm going to do is to do a little tour around of just tiny little things I did in here, not much at all. And I'll just tour you around the whole place and show you every little thing I did, which you've already seen, but we'll put it into one big tour, one big little Easter tour. I think I should put my stool away too, don't y'all think? Anyway, I'll close for now and say, guess what I'm going to say, you guys? Until next time, y'all take good care. Bye-bye. Sophie says bye too. Bye-bye.